Okay, so I'm brave, not quite as brave as Amir not using slides, but I put these slides together based on kind of a pet passion theory and unconference session that we did yesterday with a number of folks, including Don from Slack. So I'm Pete Skomoroch, CEO and co-founder of SkipFlag. I also do co-host the O'Reilly Bots podcast with John Bruner. And prior to this life, I was a principal data scientist at LinkedIn, where I worked on stuff like skills and endorsements. And I've had many other varied and interesting roles over the years, including working on biodefense at MIT. And I'm going to actually talk a little bit about that and relate it to bots. So I'm going to talk today about bot-to-bot interactions. And so how many people back here worked on semantic web-related things at one point in time? Wow, okay, so there's a good number. So that's kind of telling, I think, because this is probably in your subconscious still as you're working on bots. So Tim Berners-Lee, after he built the human web, said the next web will be the semantic web, and it will be machine readable, and machines will talk to machines, and it will be great, and we'll make the John Scully Knowledge Navigator demo a reality. It'll be awesome. So this is actually his statement, and I think if I didn't replace the words in here, but you could replace some of these words with bots, right? And it still kind of applies. So the vision was you would have a high-level objective, and you'd say, okay, I want to go to New York for this event, Botness, and these semantic agents would talk to each other and book your flight and your hotel and handle all the logistics, and it would magically happen for you because the machine web can talk to each other, right? And you'd have these intelligent agents doing this. So that was 1999. The reality in 2003, I was working on some machine learning stuff for sensor networks, and this was the reality of digging into that. Is you have like this very intricate XML-based architecture. It's very beautiful and well structured, but the reality is it's very complicated, right? And it takes a lot of time, and it's very brittle, and small mistakes can make the whole thing fall apart in reality. And so in 2006, there's a bunch of articles on this of Google exec challenges Berners-Lee, and Peter Norvig in a Q&A session after a talk like this said, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work. We deal with millions of webmasters who can't configure a server, much less write this deep XML markup for everything to self-describe what's happening. And so I think it worked out that he was basically right. It's not entirely true. There are people doing some amazing stuff, even at Google, around marking up web pages. But your common everyday webmaster, for you building chatbots out there, they're not going to write that deep, RDF OWL stuff, right? So fast forward 10 years, here we are today, chatbots, right? So we're building these systems where humans can conversationally talk to bots mediated by this AI layer, right? So we heard about all these AI platforms mapping intents, doing some deeper natural language processing. It's still early days, right? It's not Her, right? So the picture there is from the movie Her, and we have this vision that we can communicate at that level. We're not quite there, but we are building some pretty powerful stuff, right? So what I'm proposing is, well, what happens when we take these systems that we're building and we connect them to our systems of record, flight systems, hotel booking, things like that, and have them talk to each other the way that humans talk to them right now. So can we build a fuzzy way for APIs to talk to other APIs? Right? I think it would be really powerful. So maybe the semantic web vision will happen, but it will happen in a fuzzy, soft way, closer to what Peter Norvig was talking about than it will in the way Tim Berners-Lee was talking about. And so we'll have deep learning to understand and map APIs to other APIs, essentially, as learned by how humans use them and talk to them. So what does it take to make this happen? Well, one of the things would be maybe we need places for these systems to interact. A lot of bots are one-to-one, maybe in Facebook Messenger or in direct messages. But there are places where bots are interacting right now. So in Slack, for example, Slack, one of the reasons Slack works maybe is because it makes conversations more observable, right? You can see everything going on. It's kind of like being Neo looking at the Matrix and seeing all the, there's a woman in a red dress, there's all these things happening. It's pretty amazing. It's really an omniscient view of what's going on. And so these public channels are a conversational mixing layer between apps and people. And this works great for humans, but it could also work for bots, right? And it could be even more efficient. So if I was in Slack, imagine, here's an interaction where, somebody mentions something and a Salesforce bot pops up and gives them some details. What if, it was a customer service bot that then connected to a Salesforce bot that then connected to an email bot that reached out to that customer? And it's a really a nice way of, a very web-like way of things working in chat. So what are the challenges to this? First off, I think there's huge efficiency gains from multiple systems of record coordinating. It could be really amazing. You could also imagine there's these big questions about like God bots, right? So imagine you do that high-level task and you say to the Google Assistant, I want to take a trip to New York, and it farms out to all these other sub-bots and accomplishes the task. That's all great, but we have to think about these things like what happens if there's a cascading failure. The flight, this happens already with scheduling, right? So you can have x.ai talk to Clara, and if at one point one of those systems fails, then the whole transaction fails. Security issues, data privacy, all these things are things we have to think about. Anyway, so for my small part on this, we're working on turning conversations into knowledge at SkipFlag. We're working on a workplace product. You can go sign up on the wait list if that sounds interesting. And if you're interested in this problem, reach out to me. I'm Pete Skomoroch on Twitter.